Hello. The voice of the earth is a phrase that comes up in The Magician's Nephew and again in The Great Divorce. And the Song of Aslan in The Magician's Nephew, of course, is one of the best-loved parts of all the Narnia stories, where Lewis gives page after page of description of a whole cosmos being sung into being. His friend Tolkien's mythology also used song in the creation of a world, of course. Before Middle-earth was a thing, the sung music of the Ainur called up a glorious vision of the earth that was to be created. In the book of Genesis, when the earth is created, God doesn't sing, not as far as we're told, but speaks the world into being, while his breath, his spirit, broods over the waters. The book of Job suddenly surprises us by adding the not insignificant detail that while the world was being God-breathed or God-spoken into existence, the morning stars sang together and all the heavenly beings shouted for joy. Perhaps Lewis was thinking of that when Aslan sings the stars. And the thing is, the stars join in his song. They were in harmony with it, but far higher up the scale. Cold, tingling, silvery voices. There's a kind of sympathy between them, harmony. In The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, we're told by Ramandu, the ancient resting star, who sings too, by the way, at dawn when extraordinary things happen, that even in our world, a star is not just a flaming ball of gas, nothing so reductive. That is not what a star is, but only what it is made of. So, in The Magician's Nephew, we're told about the Song of Aslan, which made the earth, which gave it being, and at first is just a voice in darkness. But Diggory felt it was coming from the earth beneath. Its lower notes were deep enough to be the voice of the earth herself. You see, now, it wasn't the earth, it was Aslan, but it's as if his tones, the vibrations of his song, resonate with the earth herself. And this is the voice of the earth. Aslan says later, "This world is bursting with life for these few days because the song with which I called it into life still hangs in the air and rumbles in the ground." And now I'm thinking of Christ on Palm Sunday, the return of the King to his temple, and how he said if the crowd stopped shouting and singing and praising, the very stones would cry out at his coming as his feet passed over them. I'm bound, boringly, to state, of course, that Lewis is writing fiction. It's not doctrine. And yet, I think Lewis often felt free to speculate, as long as we're not told otherwise. Maybe the word and breath of the Creator still rumbles in the ground. Maybe a star in our world is not just a ball of flaming gas. The description of Aslan's song continues. There were no words, there was hardly even a tune, but it was, beyond comparison, the most beautiful noise he, that's Diggory, had ever heard. It was so beautiful he could hardly bear it. And then, "Glory be," said the cabbie, "I'd have been a better man all my life if I'd known there were things like this." Now, I don't think that means it makes him think he'd try hard to be a better person. I've nothing against trying hard to be a better person, by the way, but I don't think that's quite what this means. I think it means that just one glimpse of the shining brilliance, just one note of the divine music, the beauty you can hardly bear, and in the words of the poet Rilke, you must change your life. You must change your life. Of course, Uncle Andrew and the Witch hear just the same music, but they have quite a different response. They hate it. They can't stand it. That's a story for another day. For today, the cabbie Frank, with his pure heart, he hears such beauty, such depth of richness, such fullness, such purity of loveliness. He can't ever be the same again. You must change your life. Even Strawberry the horse senses blessing in this song, which interpenetrates the whole earth and the stars. Even before he's made a talking beast, he's responding to the song as if to some fond memory of childhood, green fields and sugar, something good. And he's brought more alive by Aslan's song. He's no longer the run-down cab horse that he was in London, but now every nerve is alert and straining towards this miracle of song. All creation, you see, responds to the song, including the animal life. The first dawn of Narnia begins to break, and the eyes of the Cabby and Polly and Diggory are shining with joy. And when the new young sun rises for the first time, you could imagine that it laughed for joy as it came up. Lewis may well have had in mind Psalm 19, which he thought was one of the greatest lyrics in the world, as he says in Reflections on the Psalms, where he quotes it. In the heavens hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which cometh forth as a bridegroom out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a giant to run his course. Moving on, in the Great Divorce, a man is set free during his day trip to heaven from a little red lizard of lust. But to the narrator's surprise, the lizard, once it's been killed, is transformed at the same time as the man into a glorious stallion. In effect, the message is that whatever submits to death can be raised again in a glorified body, really reflecting what St. Paul says in Corinthians. And here, lust is reborn as a strong purity of desire. What is a lizard compared with a stallion? Lust is a poor, weak, whimpering, whispering thing compared with that richness and energy of desire which will arise when lust has been killed. Now, in joyous haste, the young man leapt upon the horse's back, and together they gallop off like a bright star across the plain and up the mountains until they disappear into the rose brightness of that everlasting morning. And the man's day trip turns into eternal joy. And as they ride away, and here's the thing, the earth and the forest vibrate with song, bringing joy to those who hear it. The whole plain and forest was shaking with a sound which in our world would be too huge to hear, but there I could take it with joy. So maybe there are such sounds in our world, we just don't have the ears to hear them. And it says, it was the voice of that earth. There it is again, you see, the voice of the earth, those woods and those waters. A strange, archaic, inorganic noise that came from all directions at once. The nature or arch nature of that land rejoiced to have been once more ridden and therefore consummated in the person of the horse. And this makes me think of Paul in Romans saying, the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. The creation will be set free from its bondage to decay and will obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. It longs for the day of our redemption, because then at last the earth itself will find its consummation together with and in the children of God. And when they come into their own, into their freedom and glory, the creation too will be raised up into its fullness along with them and become a new earth. That's why the earth sings in the Great Divorce at this foretaste of its own consummation through the glorified creature. And that final consummation begins to happen at the end of the book, at the end of time as we know it, at the sunrise above all sunrises, at the final resurrection morning, and 10,000 tongues of men and woodland angels, and the wood itself sang. It comes, they sang. Sleepers awake, it comes, it comes, it comes. And the sun rises, no doubt laughing for joy as it comes up.